We have thoughts that are designed to grab our emotions and make us think about them repetitively over and over again, compulsively. The thing is, so you've got this realm of possibility, which you could become anything. I could become an actor. I could become a great novelist. I could become a CEO. I could be Elon Musk II. But the way the world works is you don't achieve anything unless you have limits. By doing things, the brain learns. But if you never do anything, you're never going to learn. The larger picture is we all have negative traits. We all have dark traits, right? And so you kind of, if you have this idea that it's just humans, human beings are like this, it's like a flower or a rock or a tree, it has its nature. You know, I just accept it. I accept people for who they are, and I deal with them on that level. I don't judge them, etc. Now, of course, when you're dealing with negative people, it can be very difficult because negative people like to stir up a lot of drama around them. And that's the kind of power that they get. They like the attention that they get from making people upset, from pulling on your emotions, right? So you have to have this kind of larger look at them where it's not about me, right? They're dealing with their own issues, their own problems. There's a history behind it. It could be their parents, it could be their family, it could be their spouse, their children, whatever. And they're venting it on me in this particular moment, but it's not personal. I tell people, don't take everything so personally, right? But then, you know, so there are all these different levels, and it all really depends on the specifics, because a lot of people come to me for advice. But a lot of times you're enmeshed with a negative person, like it's your boss, it's your spouse, et cetera, et cetera. And it's very difficult to do what I'm talking about, right? And so you have to try and get a little bit of distance from them. You have to be able to say to yourself, they're not me, right? They have their own problems. I'm separate from them. The sense of being separate from them is very liberating, right? So they have issues and they're trying to drag me into it and they're trying to drag me down. But I'm not them. I have my own life and I'm not going to get involved. Sometimes you need to have empathy, but sometimes you need to shut that off. And so the best thing in life, though, is, that's why I say there's just so many angles to approach this from, is if they're like a deep narcissist, and that's probably the most common type of negative person you deal with in the world today, and we all have come across this. The power that you have is to recognize people like that before you get involved with them, and to not get involved with them, right? And so they have signs, things that you can pick up in advance. People who are toxic, I don't know if we're going to say toxic and negative are the same here. They don't show it immediately. They're good at deceiving you. They can be very charming. They can be very dramatic. They pull you in with their great stories. Sometimes they're even charismatic. A lot of important CEOs in the world, people like Elon Musk, are raging narcissists. They appear very exciting and you want to get to know them. But you have to recognize that these are people that are probably going to use you, right? They don't see you as an individual. The people you associate with, we're very, as humans, we're very open to the emotions of other people, right? And so the people you associate with have a huge role on who you are and the energy you have, you know, your daily life, et cetera, et cetera. And so you have to be very, very careful who you let into your life. I tell people that don't judge people as far as who you're going to let into your life. Don't be deceived by the appearances. Don't judge people based on their intelligence, on their charm, on whether they're good or bad, etc. Judge them on their character, whether they have a weak or a strong character. The feeling that I'm connecting very deeply to another person, let's say my wife, etc., is a very overpowering emotion. It gets me out of myself, and I'm seeing the world through her eyes, as opposed to me always projecting myself onto her. It's a very moving experience. And sometimes you go to a movie and you find yourself getting inside the characters, you're getting outside of yourself, and you're feeling this empathy for them, you're identifying with them. These are all very powerful emotions, right? And we all have the capacity for that. But the world we live in is actually a machinery to deaden those emotions, that sense of empathy, right? It just puts so much emphasis on ourselves, on our individuality, on who we are, our needs, the attention that we want, that we deserve. We're so focused on ourselves that natural feeling of wanting to get inside of another person. And it's very strange, Jay, because if you think about it, our inner lives are actually quite boring. The same thoughts repeat over and over and over again, the same emotions, the same preoccupations, the same anxieties. And other people, they're so different. They have their own worlds, right? It's like traveling to another country. So we should actually be much more oriented towards other people. We should have a natural interest in their world because it takes us out of ourselves. It's like therapy. But it's been deadened by so many things in our world, by social media, by the pressures we're under, by just modern lifestyle. And so that empathetic muscle that everybody has is kind of atrophying. And yet there'll be moments where it kind of sparks to life and you feel like, God, I want that. I want more of that in my life, more of that in my world. How do I get it? The way I fill my emptiness, and how I've done it since I was a kid, is through my work and through my ideas and my thinking, and how I'm constantly looking for new thoughts and new ways of looking at the world. So I find that if I didn't have my work as kind of, some people think of work as something that you just have to do, right? It's just a way to get money. But for me, it's a way to feel like I'm a human being, that I am who I am. I was destined to write these books, and it gives me every day I wake up and I know this is what I need to accomplish, et cetera, et cetera. And so that's why I read so many books. That's why I'm so intrigued by ideas. That's why I'm writing a book right now about a subject that very much captivates me, because it does feel that inner kind of emptiness. But on the other hand, as someone who meditates and practices a form of Zen meditation, there is a purpose to emptiness, right? It's not necessarily good to be always having to fill things up in your brain, like you're just pouring food into your system. There is something actually kind of intrinsically beautiful about the idea that there is emptiness, that I don't really have a self, that there is actually not, that there is no such thing as a mind. Actually, it's an illusion that we create, right? It's something something through words that we have. So that sense of emptiness, that I don't have an ego, or that I'm confronting the world and I'm just hearing and seeing things as they are, is actually a beautiful thing. So I have to kind of struggle against this idea of always having to fill myself up. I talk in Mastery about a concept called learning by doing. And back in the Middle Ages, they used to have an apprenticeship that you would go through. 7 years. You would learn to be a craftsman, right? You'd first go from being an apprentice to a journeyman to a master. By doing things, the brain learns. But if you never do anything, you're never going to learn. So if you suddenly said, I've been thinking about a podcast, I would say, get off your ass and start the podcast tomorrow. And it fails. You have learned so many things. You've learned more in those 3 months of failure than you have been 2 years thinking, or 5 years of getting an MBA from some school and putting yourself in massive debt. Learn by doing, learn by failing. This is something that afflicts a lot of adolescents, because if you're successful, you now have responsibility. You now have a reputation. You now have succeeded, and your next venture could fail, right? There's pressure that comes with trying something and putting your name out there. And if I don't ever try anything, if I don't bother, if I blame the world, I blame my parents, I blame my education system, I blame my partner, this, that, and the other, then you never have to worry, you never have to have that responsibility, you never have to have that fear of success. and that holds people back. So it's easier to not do anything and stay in your little bubble and go, God, if only I had money, I would have written this great novel. I would, done this, or that, the other. It's just trying to delude yourself, and you're afraid of actually putting your neck out on the line. That's what it comes down to. It's a common syndrome among adolescents. The thing is, so you've got this realm of possibility, which you could become anything. I could become an actor. I could become a great novelist. I could become a CEO. I could be Elon Musk II. But the way the world works is you don't achieve anything unless you have limits. Having limits and hitting that wall and that resistance is what makes you learn, is what makes you great, is how the human brain functions. And what I mean by that is, let's say you're learning the piano. You can't just start out playing anything and just doing all the notes. It's very limited what you can do, right? And you have to go within those limits and those walls and learn the first things first, and then those walls start to expand a little bit. But you're constantly pressing against limits, and those limits make you stronger and stronger. It's like when you're swimming, the resistance in the water is what makes your muscles bigger, right? Mm-hmm. The resistance of limits is what makes your brain bigger, makes you more successful, makes you learn. But if all you do is live in that nebulous world of possibility, you're never developing, you're never getting any muscle, you're never getting any strength. You're not developing life skills. It's a tough world, Stephen. You know that. People can be very cruel. It can be a very mean-spirited world. You have to have a thick skin in this world. You have to develop some toughness. And you develop that toughness by trying things out and by failing. And if you fail, my wife's in the film business, and we know a lot of actors. An actor, you think it's all glamorous, but it's actually like 99% rejection. People are constantly rejecting you. And they're rejecting you for things that you have no control over, like your looks, And so what separates the actors who succeed and the ones who don't are those that have a bit of a tough skin. They don't take that rejection and go, oh, I'm so unworthy. I hate myself. Oh, the world's so awful. They go, all right, I'm going to go on to the next one. I learned what wasn't working there. And you develop some toughness. If you don't develop that toughness, you're never going to get anywhere in life. And you get it by trying and working at it. Definitely not money. Definitely not reputation. Perhaps, or fame. Perhaps network can't help. But what you really want to do in this world, in the 21st century, in our decade, is skills. You want to be learning skills. The more skills you have, and I mean true skills, I don't mean trying something out for a year and then going on to something else for another. I mean getting real skill at something, right? Whether it's in computers, whether it's in the arts, in any field. Real skill. And then if you can develop 2 or 3 skills by the time you're in your 20s and still have some fun, the world is going to open up to you, because what you're going to be able to do when you turn 30 is you're going to go, I can take that skill that I learned in computers. I can take that skill I learned in media and in creating a podcast or whatever, and I can create a business that's going to combine the two in a way that no one has ever thought of, because I'm a unique person. The world will open up to you. Skills are the gold of the 21st century. And if you're seduced by money, if you think about money, you're doomed, because that's not what matters in life. Because let's say you have 2 job offers. One is at Goldman Sachs, opening position for $150,000 a year, and one is at some startup for $30,000 a year, and you're living in New York, and you're going to be starving. You're going to be sharing a miserable little flat somewhere in Bushwick, whatever, okay? Take the $30,000 a year job, because you're going to learn so much. You're going to be hands-on. Whereas in that other job, you're going to be lost in there. You're going to be among hundreds of other young people, and you're not going to have responsibilities. Here you're going to have responsibilities. So money is not what matters to you. Because when you're in your 20s, you can starve, you can live on less food, you can have it a little tough because you're young. I know myself, I was very poor. I lived in London. I had a job in London in 1984, I believe, 84. And I was making, I think it was £30 a week, maybe it's less than that, was my starting salary. And my girlfriend at the time the only thing we could eat was turnips and cauliflower. Cauliflower cheese was our main dish. But I was 25, I could handle it. So you can handle not making money and learning, because that's what's most important.